All right, so I started an agency back when I was 17, scaled it to 6 figures. I started a new consulting business, scaled it to 10K a day in less than 30 days. I helped Hoku go from 3K a month to 30K a month. I helped Alex go from 4K a month to 15K per month, plus he bought his first Rolex. I helped Daniel go from making less than 5K a month to making 12.8 thousand in his first 2 weeks. I helped Kai go from closing 1 or 2 deals every other month to closing 8 pay-in-fulls in the first 2 weeks. And the only reason I'm telling you all of this is because we did it without mindset work. We did it without buying more funnel programs or KPI tracking programs. We did it without hiring more team members, and we did it without spamming more content. And the point of this video is not to flex my results. The point is to demonstrate exactly how we did it so that you can go off and do it for yourself. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So number 1, you need to identify your current paradigm. Okay, you need to become aware of where you are now, the results you've achieved now, and what actions and behaviors that you've been inputting into your business and into your life that has created the results that you received up until this point. Maybe it's 5K a month, maybe it's 10K a month, maybe it's 15K a month. Maybe you haven't closed jack shit in deals. Maybe you haven't made any money whatsoever. You've been in online business for a year. You need to identify your current paradigm, where you are now, what actions and behaviors has created the results that you've experienced. So you need to become aware of why your online business isn't scaling, why you're feeling unfulfilled with whatever online business you're in or whatever niche you're servicing, and why you're feeling inauthentic. Okay, like I said, your actions and behaviors determine your results, and your actions and behaviors are stemming from a version of yourself. Okay, and that's what we need to identify here with your current paradigm, is what version of yourself are you currently vibrating at, which is creating your actions and behaviors, which is creating your results. Okay, so once we've identified what your current paradigm is and who this version of yourself is, we need to next create your 10.0 self and your 10.0 frequency. Okay, put that down here. Okay, so with your 10.0 self, you need to, when I say creating it, you need to know what he looks like, what's his appearance, what are his characteristics, what are his values, what are his actions, what actions does he do on a day-to-day basis. And I'm talking about your 10.0 self here, not your 2.0 self. What is the absolute best version of yourself look like? What does he smell like? What does he drive? What are his characteristics, values, actions, and forbidden actions? What actions does he never do? What shall he never, ever do? It's forbidden in his life. Okay, we need to pinpoint that version of yourself. And what this does, instead of just acting like this version and hey, we're gonna help you become the best version of yourself, fuck all that bullshit. We're gonna help you create this frequency. So that's the first step of creating that frequency, is identifying what the version of yourself looks like exactly, vividly. So that if you were to visualize what this person looks like, you know exactly what he does, you know what he smells like, you know what he looks like, you know what he wears, you know what he drives, you know how he speaks, all the above. Okay, this is the first step into creating that frequency and creating that 10.0 self. Okay, and I say this a lot, if you don't have a target for what you're aiming to achieve, the odds of you getting anywhere near there are slim to none. Okay, so this, for one, creates the target that you want to achieve, and at the same time simultaneously creates your 10.0 frequency that we're going to begin to catapult your frequency towards, right? So quantum leap yourself into this frequency. Okay, once your 10.0 self is done, step 3, I'm going to move fairly fast here because I know your guys' attention span is absolutely cooked. No offense, but I know I'm wrong. I know I'm not wrong. So number 2 is the rule of subtraction. Oh, I'm sorry. Number 3 is the rule of subtraction. Okay, we're gonna do, let's just write it out. The rule of subtraction. Okay, and I promise you I'm not about to teach you some math. I'm not gonna give you a math lesson. The rule of subtraction is actually very, very important. And you know, I've spent a lot of money on mentorships, a lot of money on getting connected with a lot of high level people. And a very fundamental principle that almost every single one of them follows, all of them follow, is the rule of subtraction. Okay, this is the rule of subtraction that they follow for their success. And it's not about, the basis of this principle is that it's not about what you add to your business. It's not about all the funnels that you add. It's not about all the team members that you hire. It's not about, you know, all the ads that you run, all the content that you spam. It's not about that. It's about what you can eliminate that will not move you closer to the frequency of the version of yourself that you want to align yourself with. Okay, and this frequency, just to touch back on number 2, is the version of yourself that makes the money that you want to be making, that has the life that you want to be, you know, living, obviously, and this is a version of yourself. This is a frequency that we want to strive to align ourselves with, so that hopefully we can get you to at least a 7 or 8. And the odds of us getting to a 10 are damn near 0.000001, something like that, right? It's not gonna happen. You're never ever going to be the best version of yourself. But our goal here is to get you into a frequency that is at least 6 or 7.0 self, which is you making, let's say, for you 30, 45, 50K a month, something around there. Okay, so a very fundamental principle that I follow that goes under the rule of subtraction is, if something works for you and it moves you closer to the frequency of the version of yourself that you want to align yourself with, do it daily and never strip it away from your life. Okay? Yeah, on the other hand, if something doesn't work for you and it doesn't get you closer to the frequency that you want to align with, eliminate it as soon as you can, as soon as humanly possible. Get rid of it and never touch it, never go back. Okay? So if there's things in your life that you've pinpointed after creating your paradigm and understanding and becoming aware of what paradigm you're in now, and if there's things in there that you know will not bring you closer to your 10.0 self, maybe it's vices, maybe it's toxic people, maybe it's toxic friends, toxic family members, maybe it's the words you speak to yourself, maybe it's the food you eat, the water you drink, the frequencies you're around, negative frequencies around you, anything like that. If you can become aware of those, and you know some of those will not help you get closer to your 10.0 self, you need to get rid of it immediately. So that's why this rule of subtraction is so important, because it's not about what you're adding. It's about what you can eliminate, where then you can replace or substitute with healthier habits and more holistic, healthier habits that will actually move the needle closer to this frequency. Okay? Now, number 4, you might have to erase this whiteboard and run it back, but number 4 is reprogramming your subconscious mind. Okay? So, reprogramming the subconscious. All right, reprogramming the subconscious mind. So if you guys have seen any of my videos, then you know this, that your subconscious mind is the stem. I'm gonna put S down here for subconscious and C for conscious. Your subconscious mind is the stem of 95% of your actions and behaviors. 95%. Where then your conscious mind is the stem of only 5% of your actions and behaviors. Meaning, when you're conscious, only 5% of your actions and behaviors are stemming from that conscious version of yourself, which means you're unconscious 95% of the time. You're asleep, you're a zombie, you're a bot, you're barely even aware. So if that's something that we can barely fight, if that's something that we can't really change too much, we can't change the level of awareness that much, then what we need to do is, instead of trying to change your level of awareness to making it where you're 95% conscious at all times and you're just completely out of this matrix and you're just aware at all times. If we can't change it as much, then what we need to do is change what's stemming from your subconscious mind. So that's what reprogramming the subconscious mind does. From birth, you've been indoctrinated, you've been programmed, and you've had beliefs shoved down your throat from family members, relatives, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, coaches, teachers. All of their beliefs have been shoved down your throat to where it has created your belief system. Okay, you've been indoctrinated through school, maybe you're in the army, you've been indoctrinated with these beliefs to where your subconscious has now built its own belief system around what it's captured, to where every action and behavior is now stemming from that subconscious belief system. Okay, so what we need to do, and before we get into that, I want you guys to know this, like, if there is a person telling you to do something, or they're telling you their beliefs, I don't want you to listen to anybody in a position that you do not want to see yourself in. And that goes for me as well, right? If you're watching this and you just heard me say that and you're like, I don't want to see myself in your position, click off the video, don't watch, don't listen to me whatsoever. Please, honestly, because I do the same thing with everybody else. If I'm listening to somebody, I make sure that it's somebody that I actually want to be in their position, because then I know that their insight will get me closer to their position. Okay, so starting now, anytime you listen to anybody, make sure that they're in a position that you want to see yourself in, or a position that you'll actually be willing to live in. Like, it's better than your position. You get what I'm saying? So in order to reprogram the subconscious, what we need to do is first, you've already become aware that your subconscious controls 95% of your actions and behaviors, but we need to create a new belief system stemming from this 10.0 frequency. So what we do is we take your 10.0 frequency, we write it down all on a map, okay? And we begin to embed this version into your subconscious mind using repetition. Okay, and when I say repetition, I'm not talking about just visualizing, sitting down, visualizing every day, 5 minutes a day, whatever, and you're actively visualizing this version of yourself. Visualization is amazing. but you can't just be a fucking monk and sit there and hope that this 10.0 self is gonna come and become your new reality. That's not how it works. These manifestation crystal weirdos do this, but that's not how it works. Okay, so what we do is we take this frequency and we begin to embed it into your subconscious mind, and we use this using the principle of the plat. Okay, and I really want you guys to understand this. And it might be difficult for you guys to grasp, but I want you guys to get this. So, hoping you guys can see this little blank space right here. I'm gonna do my best to draw a human, or a stick figure at least. So here we have a human. Let's say he's facing this way. He's facing this way, his hands are going out like that, like catching a football, which is unnecessary. I'm just showing you guys, this is the back. So we have this area on our energetical field that carries what's called outer intention. And I know you don't know what that is, but I'll explain it. So inner intention is your own intent to try to make this version become your current reality. So you have the version pinned out, you know what he looks like, you have it pinned out, you know what he looks like, you know what he smells like, you know what money he's making, you know what business model he's in, you know how he speaks to people, you know how his sales process is, all of the above. So instead of you just trying to manifest this and visualize this and like, hey, I'm gonna become the best version of myself, and I'm gonna wake up daily and practice becoming the best version of myself, like it's so bullshit. Like that's just inner intention. It won't do anything. So what we need to utilize here, and what all of my students utilize and what we teach, is how to utilize outer intention. So by this point, you already understand that everything is energy. You understand that everything is on a frequency. You understand that the money that you want to make, 30, 40K a month as a starter, is on a frequency somewhere existing in this world simultaneously, coexisting together, okay? So once you can understand that, if you've watched any of my content and you know that, what we need to do is utilize outer intention, which is the godly frequencies, the godly forces. So if I were to put an analogy towards this, it would be like if you're sailing in the ocean, you sailing and moving your sail in a certain direction is like inner intention. Okay, it's your personal intent to try and move yourself in a certain direction to where you hopefully end up on this frequency, right? But what outer intention does, outer intention is the winds, it's the God of nature, it's what moves the world, right? So we utilize outer intention, and there's an area on our body that carries this and accumulates outer intention. So when we do the process of visualization in order to reprogram the subconscious with our 10.0 self frequency, we utilize the plat. Okay, and this plat is, if you could visualize, I might get into this word right here, but it's all good. If we visualize a ponytail coming back and down, it's this little ball right here. Okay, and nobody knows if it's a ball, obviously, but this is where outer intention accumulates. I hope you guys can see that. Cool. So in order to utilize this plat, we have an entire visualization process and a meditation process, so we're not just like monks and gurus trying to manifest our own reality with crystals on our forehead and our nuts. We actually use outer intention. Okay, so I want you guys to try this, or when you do try this, close your eyes, put all of your energy on this plat, and it's behind you, in between your shoulder blades. Okay, so if I were to pinpoint it, it'd be like right around here, I believe. Yeah, somewhere back there is where you want to focus all of your thought energy. So all of your inner intention, you want to transfer it into this plat, which carries outer intention. And this will actually move you onto a frequency, or move you closer to the frequency that you're pushing into your brain. Okay, and this will work horribly for you if you haven't utilized the rule of subtraction. That's why we're going in this order, because if you still had all of these negative habits and negative beliefs infiltrating your mind, then it will infiltrate and hop into your plat, or hop into where you're visualizing and utilizing outer intention, where then it'll pull you onto a negative frequency. So make sure you do this in this order, or else it will work terribly for you. I don't want that for you. So make sure your 10.0 self is created, and when we visualize, we put all of our thought energy on this outer intention, and it moves you, just like I said, it's the wind behind the sail. It will move your frequency onto the lifeline of the frequency of the version of yourself that you want to align with. Okay, so you can see if this works, and I've done this, and kind of just like, is Noah bullshitting me, like all of this? Go walk somewhere where you know everything bar for bar, like like it's a park that you go to every single morning, and you know where the trees are. If you close your eyes, you know where everything's at. Go there I want you to walk straight, put your focus on absolutely nothing. Look at a tree, but don't put any emotion towards the tree. Don't look at any certain part of the tree. Just kind of space out, zone out. You can keep your eyes open, walk straight, zone out, and put all of your energy and your visualization on this plat and genuinely utilize this. And you can do this with your eyes open still, but walk straight, and what you're gonna notice is a huge change. You're gonna notice a huge change in your environment. You're gonna notice something that wasn't there. You're gonna notice like, hey, you know, like those flowers weren't there before, or something like that, right? You get what I'm saying? A hue will change because the lifeline that you're on will shift onto a closer lifeline that carries this 10.0 self frequency. And I want you guys to try that. Go into the park, go somewhere where you actually know where everything's at, and attempt this. Attempt it. Because it will work and it will blow your mind. I promise you, I know it blew mine when I first tried it. Or it blew mine. What the fuck am I talking about? Okay, so the entire goal of all of this is to have your actions and behaviors be stemmed from your 10.0 self frequency. That is the entire goal of all of this. And I can go over, you know, how pendulums are dark energy structures coming to take your energy. Because what that does is when you get limiting beliefs, when you get negative thoughts, these pendulums, these structures, these dark energy vampires is what I call them. They come in and try and claw your energy by giving you beliefs where it's like, hey, this business model won't take me at 30K a month. This business model won't work. It's oversaturated, yada, yada, yada. That's what pendulums do. Okay, so I could teach you for another hour and a half on how to defeat these pendulums, but I actually have a video explaining how to defeat that pendulum. So go check out that video. It's in my past YouTube videos somewhere over there. But yeah, the entire goal of all of this is so that every single action and behavior, I'm just gonna put a B so this doesn't take too long, action and behavior is stemmed from your 10.0 self-image and your 10.0 frequency, okay? Now, one more massive thing that I want you guys to know, and all of my students do this, and I make sure that they've, you know, eliminated this thing first. There's one more thing that you have to eliminate in this rule of subtraction that will be the biggest barrier to you actually seeing the immense amount of growth that you know you want to see and that you know is right around the corner, but something's holding you back. And that's this one thing that you can't eliminate, this one thing. And it's the past version of yourself. It's the older version of you. It's the version of yourself that's holding you back. There's a version of you sitting in your subconscious mind that is trying to destroy everything that you've built. It's your goal now in your trajectory of life is to build things so that you can do certain things. But there's a version of yourself that wants to destroy everything that you've built. Okay, and the version of yourself is there sitting in your subconscious mind because of your past experiences, but most importantly, it's there because of your past trauma. More than likely, there's one or two or multiple things that's happened that's led to this boy believing that this world is cutthroat, or this world, you know, doesn't pay unless you're working crazy hard, or immense labor is needed in order for, you know, to make 35, 40K a month or whatever. At least those are my trauma beliefs. But you need to find that version of yourself. And if you don't find that version of yourself, it will pull you back down because it won't allow you to create 10.0 standards. Okay, and what 10.0 standards are and what the point of that is so that every time you hit a new revenue achievement, let's say right now you're at, you know, 10K a month. Let's keep it simple. Let's say right now you're at 10K a month, okay? And you have a really good month or a really good week, and you get to, let's say you close like 12K in 1 week. So you're on a trajectory to possibly doing damn near 50K a month if you keep up this, you know, this pace. So you do like 12K in a week, 12K in a week, and you will not be able to hit that 50K a month, even though you will. If you actually kept this and you built 10.0 standards, you genuinely would hit 50K a month, if not more. But because of your old self, you will fall back down because he wants to destroy everything. Okay, because your standard is set at, let's say 10K a month or maybe 5K a month, your old self will not allow for you to create a new standard, where then what happens is you will fall right back down to whatever your standard was, which in this case we're saying is 10K a month, right? So it's like a rocket ship heading towards the moon, and it has this like autopilot thing in its mind where, you know, it wants to stay on course. Like this course where this old version of yourself believes is they consistently do 12K a month or 10K a month, and maybe they do 12K a month on a good month. That's what their course is set to. But what happens is when you hit 12K a week, you have a really good week, your course will redirect you, your mind, your subconscious programming will redirect you back to 10K a month. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again, okay? And the only way to combat this is by understanding what 10.0 standards are and how to create new 10.0 standards at every new revenue achievement, okay? So if your standard is at 10K, okay? Let's say 10K a month, that looks horrible. Let's say your standard at 10K a month. Every time you hit a new revenue achievement, let's say you do 15, you need to turn 15K a month into a genuine standard for yourself, and you will not be able to do this if you haven't done the other 4 steps that I just taught you. You won't be able to create a genuine 10.0 standard because you can't just tell yourself, hey, now since I hit 15K a month, that's my genuine standard, like I will not stoop below this. Okay, so what happens is there's a loop that every single entrepreneur goes through when they can't create 10.0 standards. And every single entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur and you've made any money, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You have a standard. When you stoop below your standard, let's say your standard was 10K and you hit 5K, you can barely pay for rent, you can barely pay for food, you can't do the things that you want to do, and that puts you into a state of pain. Okay, so now you're in a state of pain, and as humans, we work the best out of a state that comes out of pain. So we don't work the best in a state of pain, but we work the best out of a state that comes out of pain. So what I mean is, when you're in a state of pain, you get launched into a state of hunger. This is your lock-in mode, right? This is where you're operating at peak productivity, peak creativity. You know how to invent things, like you have downloads coming in because you're so clear on what you need to do. You have so much clarity on getting yourself out of this rut of pain, right? And the cycle that comes after this is when you get in a state of hunger, you then get catapulted into a state of comfortability. I'm just gonna say comfort. Because you hit, you feel pride in your achievement. You feel good that you scaled out of your revenue achievement, and you probably went higher. Instead of doing 10K, you now did 15K. Okay, so now you feel good, you're comfortable. You're like, damn, I just hit 15K, we're good. So you feel overconfident in your ability. You feel overconfident in yourself, which will then catapult you down into the final stage of stagnation. Stagnation and complacency. I'm just gonna say stagnation, but stagnation and complacency. This is where you pop a bottle of champagne with your boys, you smoke a cigar because boom, you just did 15K a month. I've never done 15K in a month in my life, whatever. This is where you get in a state of stagnation, and then you get launched into a state of pain once again. Okay, so if you've made any money whatsoever, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This has happened to you more than likely. And what we do with all of our clients and all of our students, and what I still do for myself, is we make 10.0 achievements or 10.0 standards at every new revenue achievement. Okay, and what that does is it cuts that cycle in half to where your cycle is now pain, to where maybe you stoop below your standard, it was 10K a month, to where you get into a state of hunger. Okay, because you're pissed, you're locked in. You need to scale out of your rut because you're doing 10K and you drop to 8, and then you scale to 15K, you're in a state of hunger. So what we do is when you're in a state of hunger, we create 10.0 standards, okay, at this state of hunger. Okay, don't mind my handwriting. We create 10.0 standards at this state of hunger, which will push you right back into a state of pain because now your standard is set. Once you hit 15K a month, we set your standard at 16K a month or 15K a month. So when you stoop below 15, maybe you do 12K, you get right back into a state of pain, okay? So this is what that cycle looks like when it's cut in half. Because if you were still in the OG standard or the OG cycle, the original cycle that everyone goes through, and you don't create 10.0 standards, once you hit 12K a month after doing 10 or 8, you're pretty comfortable, you're good. But instead, with the 10.0 standards, when you're vibrationally aligned with this 10.0 frequency, it's the only way this will genuinely work, by the way, you'll get thrown into a state of pain even though you did 12K. So then you get launched right back into a state of hunger where you scale out of 12K, you now hit 20K. Okay, and then when you're at 20K, we create a new standard where if you stoop below that, you do 18K. Instead of being comfortable and actually being super psyched because you hit 20K a month, we launch you back into a state of pain. And this cycle can go as long as our clients want them to go all along, or as long as we want our clients to go long. But like I said, it will not work unless you dial in those 4 steps that I've already taught you in the beginning and genuinely created that new frequency to be the self-image that reflects and, you know, reveals itself through the mirror. Okay, and when I say mirror, there's this reality, this entire reality is a mirror. Okay, it's a dual-sided mirror. There's the material side of reality and there's the non-material side of reality, the all space, where everything exists simultaneously, like I was talking about before. That's where outer intention exists. So when you look at this mirror, you need to show the mirror what version of yourself that you want to materialize in your current reality. And a massive thing that a lot of people mess up on, I'm gonna say M for material, and this is the other side of the mirror. I'm gonna put A for alternative in all space. A massive thing that people mess up is they want to show it and they actually get really close to aligning their frequency, and they're showing this alternative space, the outer intention, the frequency. When they use the plat, they're genuinely showing that frequency that they want to align with. But what they don't do is they don't give time. They think that it'll come immediately or they'll see results in 1 to 2 weeks. And that's exactly why our program is 6 months, because I know in 6 months, I know for a fact that this result will materialize, right? And if my students do it correctly, God, I almost had like a brain aneurysm. If my students do it correctly and I'm holding their hand the entire time, I know that in 6 months, results will slide through. But if I were to have my program be like 1 month, I know that this will not happen because they're like, damn, I didn't see the result in a month. I didn't see this result, you know, materialize in a month. Because there's a time delay, obviously, between the material reality and the all space reality. Because if there wasn't, this life would not be fun and it wouldn't even be a life worth living. It would be pointless, it would be too easy. I want 50K a month and a SVJ. Well, 50K a month and a SVJ, whatever. That's not how it works. So understanding that there is this time in between, and the hardest part here in order to make this genuinely work is to make sure that you stay solid and you stay vibrating with that 10.0 frequency that we've created the entire time. Okay, because as soon as you're like, this doesn't work, this 10.0 frequency is bullshit, I'm not gonna let it happen for me, that's when you slide down. That's when you drop down, your frequency drops down, and now that frequency is now what you're showing to this all space mirror, and maybe that frequency is you making 4K a month. So now you're just consistently making 4K a month. So all of my guys like Hoku went from 3 to 30K a month. Like Alex, who went from, like I said, 1 to 1K a month to, or 1K a week, 4K a month to 15K a month, and buying is rolling. This was the hardest, this was the most difficult. And the biggest thing, like with Daniel, going from less than 5K a month to 12.8K in a week, this is because they gave it time to marinate, right? They gave it time to marinate, where the time, in order for what they wanted to materialize in their current reality, the all space had enough time for it to genuinely materialize for them. Okay, if that makes sense. So you want your 10.0 self to stay solid and vibrate with it every single day like it's all already been achieved. Right, and I know you hear that a lot, like, but the biggest thing is I'm not telling you to just be your best self. You need to genuinely make sure that your frequency is in alignment with the frequency of the version of yourself making 30, 40, 50K a month. Okay, and for most of my guys, it's 30 to 40K a month. Okay, so look, hopefully this all helped. Hopefully this information was useful and you guys can use it in your day-to-day life. This was literally the complete breakdown of what all of my students are doing, what I do currently still. I'm not some guru who's telling you to build an SMMA agency when that's what I did 3 years ago, and now I'm selling a coaching program. I still do this on a daily basis, and there's a lot more principles that I haven't taught, like tracking, how to actually track if you're getting closer to it, which I have planners for, the genuine meditations on how to actually utilize the plan, utilize outer intention so that you can quantum leap into the reality that you want to live in. But with all this being said, you can already get results that we have gotten by yourself. Okay, and I know it might be difficult to do on your own, but if you have the will and you have the power, go ahead and try this. And if it works for you, leave a comment below. Hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions. And if you guys want to speak to me one-on-one, I'll leave a link below if you need any help. And then finally, I have a lot more in-depth modules into like actual step-by-steps on how to do this. A lot more clear, because this was pretty much straight off the dome, just explaining exactly what I did and what my students are doing. But if you want a lot more in-depth step-by-step guide, click the link below. I'm gonna leave my completely free academy in there, completely free, no strings attached. I don't need your email. Yeah, hop in there, see if those help you. I'm sure they will, because of the results that we've achieved. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching this super long video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.